Begin with our open response. Here is question number 12. More snacks, please. Question here is, raisins and sunflower seeds are sold together in packages of 250 grams. The ratio of mass of raisin to mass of sunflower seeds is 3 to 5. Determine mass of raisins in a package. Show your work. Now remember, you are allowed the calculator, so we can use calculator to do the calculations. Let's understand the concepts. So we are talking about mass of two things mixed. One is raisins and the other thing is sunflower seeds. The ratio is given to us as 3:5, right? Now that really means that if we have total mass of 8 in a package, then out of 8, 3 grams will be raisins. If it is in grams, then 3 grams will be raisin and 5 grams will be sunflower seeds. You understand the concepts, right? So that is what the ratio really means. Now here, we are given a package of 250 grams. So if this is not 8, but it is 250 grams, in that case, we want to know what these quantities should be. We basically want to report how much is the raisins, right? This is the question for us. Now, how do you figure this out? What we can really do here is that we can find the ratio of raisin to the total mass. So it is 3 out of 8, right? So one way could be to use ratios. So we know that 3 out of 8 is raisins, right? We want to know how much, we don't know. So let x out of 250. This becomes the equation ratio, right? So let's say this is x, right? So we could treat this as a ratio that if we have a mass of 8 grams, then 3 is raisins, 3 out of 8. We want to figure out how many out of 250, right? So that is one way of doing it. So to get the answer, we'll just cross multiply. So we get 3 out of 8 times 250 equals to x, correct? Let's use our calculator now. So we know 3 times 250, and we'll divide this by 8 to get the answer. And let's write it in decimals, 93.75. So we get 93.75 grams is the value for x. Is that clear to you? So we could actually use ratios to find this particular solution, right? That is how it should be done. So I hope the steps are absolutely clear, right? Let's move on and take question number 13. Getting fit. Maddie enrolls in a fitness program. Her total cost is made up of single sign-up fee and a cost per class. The table below shows information about her total cost C in dollars when she attends N classes. So that is N classes. If N is 12, total cost is $67. If N is 14, then the cost is $74. What is sign-up fee? You have to write and you have to show your work, right? Okay. So since we are given that this is linear relation, right? In that case, we can find the slope and the equation, correct? So we can say, using these 2 points, so points are like 12 and 67 is one point given to you. The other one is 1474, correct? The slope m will be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So it will be 74 minus 67 divided by 14 minus 12. Correct? Now use your calculator. So we have 74 minus 67 equals to 7 over 14 minus 12 is 2, right? So 7 divided by 2 will be, in fractions, 3.5. It is always better to use fractions. I'll recommend that. So don't go to decimals, right? So that is one. Now to find the equation, we could use one of these points and we can say, well, the total cost C should be equal to this slope M times N, the number of classes, plus we want to find this B, right? So from first point given to us, that is for 12 classes, the cost is 67. We can say 67 equals to, slope is 7 over 2, right? 7 over 2. N value is 12 for us, times 12 plus B, right? So that gives you 67 equals to, so you can simplify this, cancelling 12 by 2, you get 6, right? So 6 times 7 is 42 plus B. Now from here, you can find the value of B as 67 minus 42 equals to B, right? So B will be equal to 7, take away 2 from it, you get 5, and from 6 we get 2. So 25. So sine of phi is $25. So B for us is the sine of phi, right? Fixed cost. So this fixed cost is the sine of phi. In dollars, it is going to be $25. Is that clear to you, right? So that is how you're going to answer this question. Perfect. Now, we have more to it, and that is the relation between the number of classes Maddie attends and her total cost a partial variation or direct variation? So it is definitely a partial variation, right? Justify your answer. So justify your answer. We know that the cost C is basically equals to $25 plus 7 over 2 of number of classes. So it is partial because if n equals to 0, then C is not equal to 0, right? So C should be 0 for direct variation. Since it is not equal to 0, it is partial variation, right? So if you sketch this graph, your graph will be kind of like this, where the y-intercept is going to be $25, right? The cost in dollars. N. Well, this should be not a joint line. It should be integer values. You understand, right? So that is how we can explain this particular answer. So I hope the concepts are clear. Now let's take question number 14. Question number 14. Kenny's big adventure. The following graph represents the relationship between Kenny's distance from home on a bike ride and time. So that's the graph for you, showing the distance with time, right? The question here is, describe the 3 segments of Kenny's ride, include information about distance traveled, time, direction, and speed in kilometers per minute for each segment. So the table has been provided to give you the distance traveled, time, direction, and speed in kilometers per minute. Let us see how to solve such a question. So first you notice that distance is increasing, right? So the direction is always going away. So these are the 3 legs. Let's call the first one. The first one is during the interval from 0 to 10, right? This particular, let's talk about this. Now in this interval, we can calculate the speed as equals to distance divided by time, right? Distance divided by time. And in this case, we know that the distance covered is 3 kilometers and the time taken is 10 minutes. So you could write this as 0.3 kilometers per minute. Is that clear to you? So that is part A. Now let's do part B. In part B, what do we notice? We see this horizontal line. That means in this duration, which is from 10 to 25 minutes, right? The speed is 0, right? If you calculate the speed here, what do you get? Distance traveled is 0. Since it is only at 3 minus 3, however, the time is 25 minus 10, but speed is 0 kilometers per minute. That means not moving. So it is stationary, right? Stand still. So taking rest. That is how you could describe this particular portion, right? Not moving or resting. Now let's look into the third part, which is C for us. And let's say this is our third part, right? Now here we can find the distance, which is 4.5, take away 3, right? So in this case, speed is equal to 4.5 take away 3, so that is the difference between the y values, right, divided by 50 take away 25. Correct? So we get 1.5 divided by 25, right, quarter. So let's use calculator. We get 1.5 divided by 25 equals to 3 over 50. Okay, in decimals, 0.06, which is 0.06 kilometers per minute. So in the first leg, it is very steep and much faster. Here, resting and then moving forward, but at a lower speed. Okay, is that clear to you? So that is how we could actually explain the given situation, right? Now let's fill up these values in the table given to us. Describe the 3 segments of Kenny's ride. Include information about distance traveled, time, direction, and speed in kilometers per minute for each segment. So segment A. Distance traveled during this is 3 kilometers. Time taken here is 10 minutes. Direction is forward, away. You can say forward or you can say away, moving away. Speed in kilometers per hour is 0.3 kilometers per minute, right? So that is the speed in this case. Perfect. In B, we found that distance traveled was 0 kilometer. It didn't move at all. Time taken will be 15 minutes. So it is 15 minutes of rest. Direction, none. And the speed is 0 kilometers per minute. And in the third case, part C, it is the speed, distance traveled. Distance traveled was from 3 to 4.5, so distance traveled 1.5 kilometers. Time taken was 25 minutes. Direction was forward or away, right? Moving away. And the speed calculated was 0.06 kilometers per minute. Is that clear to you, right? So that is how we are going to answer such questions. I hope the concept is absolutely clear. I'd like you to go through this video, this portion of the video once again and understand all these concepts. So from the graph, the steepness gives us the speed, which we find by rise over run, right? So that slope is the speed. So Kenny actually describe the 3 segments. So this is much faster, right? So you could describe kind of like this. So in the first 10 minutes, so we can say Kenny's speed was 0.3 kilometers per minute in the first 10 minutes, right? Then took rest for 25 minutes and moved forward at slower pace of 0.6 kilometers per minute. So that is how you could actually describe the given situation, right? I hope that helps. Let's move on and take question number 15 now. Here is question number 15. Comparing relationships. Information about three linear relationships is given below. Relationship 1 is a graph, relationship 2 is an equation, and 3 is data in the form of a table. The question here is, circle the relationships that have the same rate of change. So the rate of change is slope, right? So that means they have the same slope. Justify your answer. Include information about all three relationships, right? That's your question. Let us see how to solve this. So basically, we need to find the slope for all the three cases. And you'll also now learn how to find slope when a line is given to you. Well, slope in this particular case can be found by these 2 points, right? We can call this point A as minus 10, y value 0. And here point B, which is at 0, the y value is 5. Slope is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, correct? So y2 is 5 for you. So 5 minus 0, right, sorry, y value is 0, divided by 0 minus 10. Or it could be written as 5 over 10, which is equal to half. So the slope in this case is half. Now let's see what is the slope in the second case. Let us rearrange this equation, right? So we need to rearrange in the form y equals to mx plus b, so we can read the slope, correct? So we get 6y equals to minus 3x minus 1. Y equals to minus 3 over 6x minus 1 over 6, which is minus half x minus 1 over 6. So in this case, the slope is equal to minus half. It is not the same, right? In the first case, it was plus half. Now let's find the slope when the table of values is given to us. So let's find this difference. This difference is what? Divided by that difference. You get the idea, right? So we could write minus 2 minus of minus 3 divided by 0 minus of minus 2. So that becomes the slope in this case, right? So that is minus 2 plus 3 divided by 2, or it is equal to half. So clearly you can see that the slope of first relation and the last relation are exactly same. So we can circle these two relations. They have the same slope, and the slope m is equal to half for both the cases. Is that clear to you, right? So we need to circle the relationships that have the same rate of change, which is the slope, and justify your answer. Include information about all three relationships. So this is not the same since it is negative half, but the other two have the slope of positive half, and they are exactly same. Perfect. So this rise over run is like 5 over 10, which gives you positive half. So I hope that makes sense. Let's take the next question now. Question number 16. Determine the equation of a line that has the same y-intercept as 2x plus y plus 6 equals to 0 and is perpendicular to the line shown on the grid. Okay, so let's find the y-intercept of the given line, right? So when I say y-intercept, it means what? Y-intercept means x value 0. So to find the y-intercept, we'll substitute x as 0. So we get 2 times 0 plus y plus 6 equals to 0. That is 0, right? Plus y plus 6 equals to 0 or y equals to minus 6. So we get the y-intercept as minus 6, right? Now the second part of this is and is perpendicular to the shown line. So perpendicular means negative reciprocal, right? So first, let's find the slope m of the line, right, given to us. So we can take 2 points, and these two intercepts are actually good points. So here you can see that the rise is of 4, right? And this run is of 6 units. It makes sense. It is rising. It has to be positive 2 over 3, right? Now, what is the slope of perpendicular line? Negative reciprocal, right? So perpendicular line slope will be equal to, let me write like this, m perpendicular will be negative 3 over 2. Perfect. So we get our equation from these two conditions. So we can now write down that equation of line which has slope same as minus 3 over 2 and which goes through the point which is the y-intercept 0 minus 6 is what? Is basically equal to y equals to minus 3 over 2x, and that is your y-intercept, right? Minus 6. So you get your equation. Do you see that? Now, since we were given equation in the standard form, let's rewrite this equation also in standard form, right? So that extra bit actually is very helpful. We'll multiply everything by 2. So we get 2y equals to minus 3x minus 12 times 2, right? So now we can bring this term to the left side. So we get 3x plus 2y plus 12 equals to 0. So that becomes the equation of your line. You see, 3x plus 2y plus 12 equals to 0 becomes the equation of the required line. So that's our answer. Is that clear? So that is how you should be solving it. I hope you find it interesting and useful. Now, let's move on and take question number 17. Question number 17, skate on. A diagram of a community ice rink is shown below. The rink is being enclosed with fencing that costs $6.20 per meter. Determine the total cost of fencing for the rink. Show your work. So that is your rink, right? So we have a rectangle here and a semicircle. So we need to find the cost of fencing. That means we want to calculate the perimeter, right? So basically we need to calculate perimeter. So let me show my work here. So the perimeter could be treated as this length, right? Plus this length, plus this length, and this semicircle. Now how do we find that length? Well, from this figure, it is very clear that the circle radius should be half of 26, right? So this is 26 divided by 2 or 13. So these sides are equal to 13 each. That is to say that this radius is 13 meters. Is that clear to you? Perfect. That is to say that this much side is 13 meters from here to here. So how much is from or the length of this rectangular part? Well, the length of this rectangular part should be 61 minus 13. Is that clear? And these two are equal. So this is also 61 minus 13. Right? So when you take away from 11, 3, you get 8, and then 5 minus 1 is 4. So you get 48. So when you want to find the perimeter, in that case, this is half of the circle, right? So the perimeter will include half of the circle with radius r. So we have a semicircle, right? We have this semicircle, correct? So that D shape will be, basically it is 2 pi r. So it is 2 pi r, or you can say pi diameter, right? So divided by 2, right? So it is basically pi times r, right? Half of this circle. So which is equal to pi times 13. So 13 pi you could write. It is better to write 13 pi. Normally, we can say circle perimeter or circumference is pi d, right? Pi times diameter. In this case, it is half circle, right? So half circle perimeter equals to pi d divided by 2. You could do like this also, right? So pi diameter for us is 26. You could do 26 divided by 2 and you get 13 pi. So same thing. Do you see that? That's an alternate way of doing it, correct? So now we can say what is our total perimeter, right? So from here we can write perimeter is how much? So perimeter is half circle plus 3 sides of rectangle, correct? So in this case, half circle we calculate as 13 pi plus the 3 sides are 48 plus 48. These two are equal plus 26. Is that clear to you? So that becomes our total perimeter. So let's add them up, right? So let's use calculator. So we have 48 plus 48 plus 26 plus 13 pi. So 13 times pi, right? Which is equal to, in decimals, it gives us 162.84. Pi is 3.14, right? So that is the meters. That is in meters. But we need to find the rink is being enclosed with a fencing that costs $6.20. So cost of fencing should be how much? Total perimeter, which is 162.84, we have to multiply this by 6.20, right? Dollars per meter, right? So we get so many dollars as the cost. So we are going to multiply this by 6.20. And what we get here is equal to 1009.61, right? It shows 612. But we are going to round our answers to cents, right? So we'll round our answers to cents and we can say that this cost is $1,009.60, right? Since these days we have discontinued the pennies, right? So we'll write this as 60 cents, rounding off to the nearest number like this, since we have discontinued the pennies, right? You could also write approximately as 1009.61. That is also correct. This is also correct, okay? So that is how you could actually answer this question. I hope it makes sense. Perfect. Now let's move on and take question number 18. Now this is the last question of open response, question number 18, a schoolyard. A schoolyard is in the shape of a regular decagon. Decagon means 10-sided figure, right? Ten-sided polygon, as pictured below. Regular means all are of equal length. All angles will also be equal, right? That means regular. Complete the chart below with the values of x and y. Justify your answer using geometric properties. So we need to find what is x and what is y. Perfect. Okay, now let's begin by finding y first. Since we have 10 sides, in that case, sum of angles, sum of interior angles will be how much? Sum of interior angles will be 180 times n minus 2. That's your formula, right? So it is 180 times 10 minus 2 or 180 times 8. So that is your sum. All right. So let's multiply. We get 180 times 8 as our sum, 1440, right? This is total sum, right? Now how much is y? All are equal angles, right? Regular means equal angles. Since it is a regular polygon, right? So therefore, y should be equal to how much? We have to divide 1440 by 10 and we get 144 degrees. So the value of y should be 144 degrees. We got y now. Perfect. Now y basically means here we have the angle y, which is 144. Does make sense to you? Right? Now, at this point, let us look into the other angles. What is this angle for us? Let's say this angle is theta. So the angle theta is equal to 180 degrees minus 144. Correct? So let's do it. So we have 180 minus 144, which is equal to 36 degrees. So this is linear, right? A line makes 180 degrees and therefore it should be 36 degrees. Now, what is the angle x which we need to find? Angle x should be 180 degrees minus 90, which is given to us, minus what we found theta as 36 degrees, right? Since sum of angles is 180, right? So let's calculate this. This is because of sum of angles is 180 degrees in a triangle. So let's calculate this answer now. So we get 180 minus 90 minus 36 degrees, and that gives us 54 degrees. So x is 54 degrees, correct? Now we'll write down our answer. The value of x is 54 degrees and the value of y is 144 degrees, right? Justification is right there, right? So you could write all this in the second column and all this in the first row, right? That goes in the second one. Perfect. So with this, we come to an end of open response questions. I hope you have understood these steps and the concepts behind. Feel free to share your comments and your views. In case you have any doubts, you can always send me an email on the given address here. I will be responding within 48 hours to your email. Thanks for watching and all the best.